Hi, this is Suhaila, and this is Grow With Me by Suhaila, the podcast, and this is Season 2, Episode 8, and the name of this episode is called Hold That Thing Steady. Let's get into it. So I was meditating this morning, and I had the thought, that I felt stabilized, and then the idea of an airplane came to mind. I'm like, how did this happen? I have had the most intense past couple months from early May, really April, honestly, most of the year. I didn't even start my newsletter. I have a monthly newsletter called Spark by Suhaila on Substack. And the past couple of years I've taken off. I started in 2024. So 2024 going into 2025, I remember taking a break for January. But that was more because of the holidays and stuff. And also I was doing it weekly back then. So it was really, really a lot to do a weekly newsletter. But I moved into monthly in 2025. And I remember taking that break for January. And then this year I took a break for January as well. But that was completely different. The reason why. Part of that is it didn't feel like the new year had started yet for me. But really this year has been really, really intense. And I would say for May in particular, June, where I'm now recording this at the end of June, they have been really intense. So, if I don't hold steady, something's going to crack. Me, namely me. So it is really my job to hold steady. So I was meditating today. I was just realizing wow, suddenly I'm just level again, stable. And it reminded me of a plane, and it reminded me of an airplane, a jumbo jet, or even a private jet, or one of those little propeller ones if you ever have island hopped in the Caribbean or something. But it's our job. I was like, oh, we're the pilots. I'm the pilot of my plane. I am the pilot of my plane. I am the plane itself. I am the builder of my plane, and I am also responsible for where I'm going, the destination, all of those things all at once. And no matter what's going on in the air and the environment, in this analogy, is this an analogy or allegory or metaphor? I always get those things confused. But in this example, the air, the atmosphere is the actual atmosphere of the world, the atmosphere of everything going on around us, the atmosphere of the planet for real, physically, but also of our world, right? So that atmosphere is always going to change. It is going to be turbulent. Things are going to be moving all around. Cups in the back. If you're on a plane and you ever been in severe turbulence, those cups that those flight attendants are pushing through the aisle on their cart, they will jump and fall, and the drinks will go all over the place. The air masks have even come down on planes I've been on before. It's been so turbulent. We didn't need to put them on, but they came down. So this can all happen on the plane. The outside environment, even the inside environment. In this example, the inside environment is us. Everything can be topsy-turvy, jumping all around. Sometimes on planes, one of the toilets don't work. You're out of toilet tissue. There's no soap. It's disgusting. It's dirty. There's urine on the floor. There's kids on the plane yelling. There is couples fighting. There are people laughing. There's all kinds of stuff happening on the plane being us, inside of us. And it's up to us as that pilot to stay steady no matter what. The other thing that before I'm imagining, I don't know anything about aerodynamics or airplanes or the airplane industry, aviation. I don't know anything about the aviation industry in that way, but I'm imagining that when you get on a plane as a pilot, you check all your coordinates. First of all, you make sure all of the equipment is working, right? You see them do that even in movies. You see that even on a plane. You can see that when you board, you can see the pilot. If you look to the left, he's up there, he's doing stuff. He's checking stuff. So, I'm imagining, though, that part of aviation, if being a pilot, is that you first make sure all your equipment works, right? As soon as you get on the plane, and it's your job to make that equipment work. So in this example, it's your job to make sure that equipment works. That's your mental state, your emotional state, your spiritual state, and your physical actual body, right? And then I'm imagining they're making sure the lights work. They're making sure everything works. They make sure they have their co-pilot there. But even your co-pilot, you may not be able to depend on. They may pass out in the middle of the flight. or they may just be distracted. And that's okay. It's your job to hold steady and be that pilot. But I'm imagining that they also set the coordinates, right? Whatever the coordinates, the GPS version of airplanes. And they know, they do that so the plane knows exactly where they're going. So therefore, if they cannot fly the plane is still going towards its destination. To me, that is God. That is God. When those coordinates were set before anything happened, before my plane was built, before my plane took off, that's God. God knows my destination. God knows what I'm capable of. God knows my potential, creator, source, whatever you want to call it. All that is, the thing that has created this whole thing, this whole big world that we live in. We don't even know how we got here. But somebody else was involved. Something else was involved in energy. And let's just assume that's so, because none of us know exactly what that is, right? Even if all the books and the Bibles and the Qurans and the Jewish texts and everybody else can say what they think it is, nobody actually knows what it is. No one here was here when that happened. So let's just assume there is some greater force involved here. So let's assume that that is the thing that as soon as we got on that plane, as soon as I got in this body, as soon as I knew that I am the plane and I'm also the destination, that destination was already set. It's set. They enter it into the keyboard. So therefore, if the pilot, for some reason, me, falters, I'm still going where I'm going because God is by my side. There is a co-pilot. I'm the co-pilot in that case. I am the co-pilot. The plane has the ultimate control, right? The plane could collapse. The wings could fall off. So that part is not, I could just do my best to check, make sure the equipment works. We make sure the plane is in good shape. They fuel it up. They check everything before you take off. And then from there, it's up to us to hold that thing steady. We have to hold that thing steady, whatever it takes. That's life. Hold that thing steady. The cups may be flying. Turbulence may be out of control. The plane might go to the left, dip to the right, speed up, slow down, nosedive. I don't care. We have to hold that thing steady while it's happening. That is life. That is how life feels. And it is hard. Sometimes you might be holding that, the steering wheel. Is that what it's called? I don't know what it's called on a plane, but you're holding that thing that's the equivalent of a steering wheel in a car. And it might be shaking. You might be shaking. You might be scared. You might be sweating. But you better hold that thing steady. You better go to your destination. Your co-pilot may falter. He may fall asleep. He may be drunk. Maybe he has issues. Maybe he had a fight with his wife, her wife. Who knows? Hold that thing steady. Everybody in the back of your plane might be acting wild. Hold that thing steady. It is your job to get yourself, that plane, that is your life, and that is you, to your destination no matter what. And that means you have to do the internal work, first of all, before you even take off. Like I said, make sure that you have the capacity, right? You are... Because I use this phrase often. I used it with my manager recently. We were talking about a project. She said something. I'm like, no. No, we are building the plane while we are flying it. We don't have time for perfection, right? The plane is being built. We don't have time to know all the answers. We don't have time to wait for people to have the answers. This is us, me and you, and we are building this plane while we fly it. So we have no choice. The plane is being built as it's also flying. We're not stopping. We're not waiting. We're not delaying. We are not sitting on that runway. We are taking off, and we will do what we have to do while we're flying it. So that's another extreme, because I'm also saying make sure everything is intact. Make sure the equipment works. So two things can be true, right? You're making sure the basics work, that you have the capacity, you have the vision, you have the capacity, you are capable, you have the belief, you have the faith. You have checked the basics, the basic things that are needed for this thing to fly. The fuel, it has wings. You can see out the glass. It has, you have a co-pilot. You have yourself, which is most important. You have the lights are working. The autopilot is working. That's it. Let's go. That is life. You got to go. You got to hold that thing steady. And you have to, sometimes on a plane, I've been on planes. Once I was on a plane, it scared the heck out of me. I was flying into LaGuardia. This is when I used to travel a lot, like a couple times a week for business. And it was a short trip. And I was flying back, I want to think it was Chicago back to LaGuardia. It was a day trip for a single meeting. Or maybe it was DC or Atlanta, but I feel like it was Chicago. But I was going to Chicago for a single meeting, same day trip. And when I got back, when we were coming back to New York, anyway, when we were coming back to New York, no, maybe it was a wedding. I might have been coming back from a wedding in the Bahamas, but I just remember when we were coming back to LaGuardia, if you fly a lot, you get used to the sounds of the plane, right? You know when the wheels are coming out, coming down. You know when they're going to start their descent. You know all of this stuff. You just know. You don't even have to look at the time. So I'm aware of the sounds of the plane. And I heard clearly the wheels come down because we were descending into LaGuardia in New York City. And then suddenly, without announcement, I swear, I heard the wheels come back up. You could hear this. So I look out the window, and then the plane was sharply going back up. He had already started the descent, and you hear the gears start to shift. I heard clearly the gears start to shift. When you fly a lot, you know the sounds of the plane. You know when the gears start to shift. You know by the time when it's about to start descending, even if you're not looking at the seat in front of you or your watch or your phone for time. You just know, even if there's no announcement. So I'm very aware of what's happening and when we're about to land or start our descent. And I heard the equipment. You can hear it. You can hear certain things that they start to do when they're about to start making that descent before the wheels even come down. But in this case, he put the wheels down already. So I'm starting, you're putting the tray table up. You're starting to, storing my computer or whatever I was doing. And then suddenly he starts going back up. I literally, this is New York City and this is not too long ago, but still, I thought the plane was getting hijacked. He didn't even make an announcement. He literally was descending. The wheels had come down. I heard them. And then suddenly we started going back up. I was terrified. He didn't make an announcement until we got to flying altitude again. And he said that he was about to miss the runway. Because LaGuardia in New York is one of the shortest runways in the world. So that's when I learned that. Because I was like, what is going on? How could that have happened? And he was about to miss, he was going to miss the runway, meaning we would have been in the water. So he went back up. Thank God. He was alert. But he didn't make that announcement until after we were in safe territory. I guess he needed all his thinking capacity. I don't even know if the flight attendants knew what was going on because everybody looked around like, what the heck? Can you imagine you're about to land and then the plane is going back up? It terrified me. I really thought we had gotten hijacked. But so my point is that there are times when the plane has to make some maneuver it was not expecting. There are times when you may have to ground in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the country or a country, because you need to refuel or something has happened or a passenger is sick or maybe somebody else is sick, one of the crew. There are times when, very rarely, I've never been on a plane where this has happened, but I know a lot of people have. The plane has to turn all the way around and go back to its destination and start again. There are times when I have never seen this in a commercial airline, but fighter planes, fighter jets, where they are refueling mid-air. There are other planes that come to give them fuel while they're in the air. I've seen that. So all things can happen. And then once in a while, very rare, a plane crashes and burns. And then, okay, if that's us, we're no longer here. But that's not to be morbid, but that's not for us to decide. But in the example that I'm giving, my point is that you are going to go through all of these things. It is our job, nobody else's job. It doesn't matter who you have. And I started to realize this. It doesn't matter family, your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, your lover, your partner, your children, your manager, in my case, your business partner, business managers, lawyers, accountants, agents, publishers. It does not matter. For me in my life, it is my job to fly this plane. It is my job to fly this plane. It is my job to build this plane. And it is my job to make sure that I get to the destination that God had in store for me. And I cannot give up. We cannot give up. You cannot give up. That turbulence will make you scared as shit sometimes. All of the stuff in the background, the inside, the background of the plane in this example, but the inside of you will be making you scared the entire way. You may be shaking in your boots while you are holding that steering wheel of the plane. You might be foggy. It might be raining. It might be sleeting. It might be slowing. Birds might be flying on your windshield. All types of conditions pilots have to fly through, and they have to hold that thing steady. It is their responsibility to hold that thing steady. And then if they falter, guess what? God kicks in for a little while, Well, not a little while. God is there the whole time. But autopilot is there because your destination was already set. What you're capable of is already set. What your potential is already set. You just have to meet it there. We're not even actually creating the place we want to go. We're just setting the coordinates so we can meet it. We can meet the thing that is already waiting there. When I decide to get on a plane and go to California or wherever, South Africa, Dominican Republic, London, Europe, wherever, an island, St. Bart's, Jamaica, I didn't invent the island. I didn't invent the country. I didn't create it because I decided to go there. It was already there. It's just my job to meet it, to decide where I want to go, that GPS, those coordinates that was set when I got in, and then go and fly there and don't change course. If that is where you really think you belong, and that is what you really think your vision is, and that is really what you think your potential is, and what you know that you are here to do not change course. It doesn't matter if everybody on the plane faints. Your co-pilot flies out the window. It does not matter. You hold that wheel steady and you fly. You fly. This is your life. This is your destination. This is your destiny. This is what God has in store for you, and it's up to us to meet God there. He will be there, or she will be there, as the invisible support that makes planes stay up in the air, right? That we don't know how that works. I mean, we do know if you wanted to research it, but if somehow stays up in that air, it defies gravity. It defies the laws of this planet, and it stays up in that air. So just trust that that's God. It's going to keep you up there for the most part. But even if other things falter, it is your responsibility to make sure that you can handle the landscape, the turbulence, the environment, the changing altitudes, the every single thing that can happen on the outside and the inside. And none of it will ever stop. I'm telling you, none of it will ever stop. But you still got to keep flying that plane. You just get used to it. Pilots are not scared of turbulence. Pilots are not scared of much. Do I know a pilot? I know a couple people who have taken flying lessons, so they now know how to fly planes. But I don't believe I know an actual pilot. I know a lot of people, but I don't think I know a pilot. But I don't believe that they're scared of much. They have seen it all. They're there. When that speaker comes on, when we are flying through heavy turbulence and it feels really scary, and that voice comes on, and they go, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, we had to make I had to change courses. It is the most calming. It might as well be the voice of God when you're in the plane. That's all we are looking for. We are looking to hear that voice of the pilot to tell us that everything is okay. And that voice is us. We have to remind us in our own lives that we are the ones who have to remind ourselves that everything is okay. And if we are quiet enough and we go inside, we will hear the voice of God as well, telling us that everything is okay. Everything is working out for you. Everything is working out for you. Everything is working out for you. Even when all of the shit is crazy, the weather, the environment, the plane, maybe it's an older plane and not a newer plane. I don't know. But it is our job to hold steady and to freaking fly that plane of our life, to build that plane as we're flying it as well. Because that's the changing of life, right? Life is changing. You're becoming something different. As we move towards our destinations, we become something different. We become something more, in my experience. We become something better, in my experience. Not that I didn't like the old version of me, but I like the expanded version of me. So you're also changing as you're flying. So in my meditation this morning, when I felt that feeling like stabilization, like how did I get to a stable place? It just happened because I'm so focused no matter what. Because everything is, somebody keeps telling me I'm so peaceful. It's kind of funny because I'm glad that is, she was first saying, I feel really calm for the past couple of weeks. And then she just started saying, you are so peaceful. You live such a peaceful life. And I'm just like, really? Because to me, I'm always doing a lot of things. But I guess I don't show what is going on the inside, meaning I don't mean that I'm frantic or anything. I don't feel like that. Even when things are going wild on the outside, I very rarely feel frantic on the inside. Even when my mind is like upset or annoyed, my actual nervous system very rarely feels frantic. So it's not really surprising to me that she registers me as what she describes as a calm person. I always think that people who are too calm, there's something the matter with them. People who live in that, right? Where they're like, I'm so calm, and that person's so crazy. I'm like, I'd rather be acting crazy than calm. That's boring. but not crazy literally, right? I'd rather energy than the lack of energy, right? I like movement. I like passion. I'm a passionate person. So, but I understood what she meant. I think she's feeling my energy. I haven't seen her in a while, and I've been around her lately. And she just is like, you're so calm. You're so calm. Like, how do you get like that? And I'm like, really? But then she started saying, you're so peaceful. The other day, she's like, you live such a peaceful life. And again, I have a million things going on. I'm just really a lot going on. So I thought about it, and she was like, you live a peaceful life. You live such a peaceful life. And of course, she can't see every component of my life, but even in my business life, which she does have more of a view into, and some of my personal, it's a lot going on. It's a lot going on. I'm planning for a trip to South Africa. We're doing 12 workshops, panels across 3 provinces. It's a lot going on. And then this podcast and my newsletter, I'm writing my book and client work. So it's a lot going on. But she was just saying that I live such a peaceful life. And then she started saying, like, she realizes I don't need a lot of outside stimulation or validation. You know, I don't need the outside worship. And I just listened to her because I was just trying to see what her idea of peaceful was. I know I don't have frantic energy, so I'm aware of that. But I do have excited energy a lot of times, depending on what mood I'm in. So I have a lot of energy, even if I'm not moving around and acting frantic and loud. But she was just talking about my peaceful nature, and she was just describing it as something she noticed. And her definition of that is that I don't need to be doing a lot. I don't need to be, going to dinner every night and hanging out every night. And I don't need constant outside stimulation. That is true, because I have enough inside of me to stimulate me. There's just so much going on in there. And then, of course, my creations, they can keep me busy. And I'm just a very seeking spirit. So, I mean, I could be busy for the rest of my life if I wanted to, with the places I want to travel and research things and cultures and just so much. Books. I have lists of books I have not read yet. I have lists of movies I want to see for entertainment and also research about different things I'm interested in. I can literally be busy forever. I have places I want to travel. So I listened to her and I said, I'm focused. That's it. I'm focused. And she was just like, no, I'm focused too. She's a big executive in TV and film. She said, I'm focused too, but I don't have a peaceful life. So we just started laughing. So, when I meditated this morning, I know how I've been feeling the past few months. Even if other people see me as steady, I know everything that has been wildly going through my mind, like lists and lists and lists and lists, and check this off and check this off, what needs to be done. It's to the point where it's so much that, and I made a podcast about this a couple of months ago, I think. It was called Seek Your Own Counsel, where I had to call other people because I had so much to do that I was completely overwhelmed and I didn't know what to do at all. So I know that has been my inner state at times, where even if I present a certain way, I have so much in my mind and my spirit, I can't even think. I can't even think straight. But because of that, I'm aware, no matter how it looks to other people, I am aware of when my inside state shifts, where suddenly you arrive. In the plane analogy, suddenly you're just there. Prior to that, you were planning. If it's a big vacation or a big trip, it might have been weeks or months of planning. And then suddenly you're there. So that's how it kind of felt today in meditation when I first had this thought and this analogy. Not that I've arrived someplace in life or my ultimate destination and who I'm supposed to be on this planet and this world, but inside of me, it felt stable suddenly, like a plane that had to right itself, that it was a little wobbly, and now my wings are straight out and it's going to be okay for a while. That's how I felt this morning. So yeah, we got to fly the plane. We got to fly the plane. We cannot give up, even when everyone and everything else falters, even if inside of us it is shaking like those flight attendants with the carts. We're moving down the aisle when it hits a bump. We got to keep moving. We got to keep moving. It's our job. It's our job to reach our destination. Hope you enjoy this. Thank you for listening. If you are interested in journeying with me a little bit further or a little bit longer, there are a few ways that you can do that. One of the ways is my leadership course. It is called Feminine Leadership, Leading from the Inside Out. It is a mini course. It is self-guided. It is soft. It is gentle. It is easy. You can do it anywhere. It's a PDF. You can download it. It is not the traditional leadership language mumbo jumbo. It's not heavy hitting. It's not heavy. It's not heady. And it's easy to download, and it's on Gumroad. So wherever you are listening to this podcast, whether you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Podcasts, wherever you are, in every episode you will see an episode description. Beneath the description, down below, but before you get to my bio, which is all the way at the bottom, between those two areas, you will see a bunch of links. Amongst those links is the link for Feminine Leadership, Leading from the Inside Out. You can click there. It will take you to Gumroad, and you can download it right now. It's priced at $37. Quick and simple, easy, breezy. If you're interested, check it out. I also have a book, Awaken the Brand by Suhaila, Unleash Your Personal Potential Through Building Your Brand. I like to say this book is personal development meets brand development, powered by spiritual intelligence. So whether you have an actual business brand or just a personal brand that's also a business, or just a personal brand that's just you. I define a brand as a promise. So whatever that is for you, it does not have to be a business that is a business where you are generating money or trying to generate money. It's just about how we show up in the world through our businesses, through our brand. I'm really using brand as a path to higher consciousness. That's really what it is. I'm using business and brand as a path to higher consciousness. I use that word because it's something that everybody understands, but it really literally is also a business and brand book. So however you want to look at it, however you're approaching it, whether it's for yourself personal, whether it's for yourself because you actually have a personal brand like you're a public speaker, or whether you're a thought leader and you actually are building a personal brand, or that is your business, or whether you have an actual product service brand. It's for everybody. So you can also check that down below. I have another course. It's also called Awaken the Brand. It's what the book came from. The course came first, the book came second. So you can check that out below. That's on Teachable and Gumroad as well. And then I have a newsletter called Spark by Suhaila, and it is on Substack. Those are all of my offerings. If you're interested in any of them, you will find them below. Have a wonderful day. Sending you light and love.